Day two. Okay. So thank you all who joined the office hours today. It's nice to hear from people, and a lot of people had their questions answered. So if that's not the right setting for you, if you'd rather share your screen one-on-one with me, just reach out to me in the chat or in email. Okay, today, same thing. How can we use global variables and if statements to create a clicker game? I am purposely going, giving people time these first 2 days to get reoriented before we move on, because I don't know what other teachers are doing, but I want to make sure that everyone feels confident before we go forward. So if you're done, awesome. Due dates. I added this section because I think it's important to keep track of what's due when. Pupil path is going to be super up to date because I'm very bored. And so when I say this is due, the clicker game is due tomorrow at the start of the day, I mean that starting probably after office hours for first period, so starting at 9, I'm just going to start grading them because we're stuck in quarantine. And I will reach out for those who have issues, and I hopefully can work with you to fix it and not just leave it to rot. Cool. So each day there is a Google question. As of today, only about half of us have answered it. This is at 2:20 on Monday, so only about half of us have done it so far. I will tomorrow, the day you're watching it, start reaching out to those who have not been answering them. And if I see a pattern, I have to call parents to make sure that you have access to the internet so you can keep up and not completely just fail because, reasons. So clicker game due at the start of class on Wednesday. I'll put Wednesday just because time is a weird thing. Wednesday. That looks ugly. I'm just going to put WED. Real-time editing. Isn't this what YouTubers do? WED start of class. Cool. I want to go over a checklist of things for this classwork, and I want to guide you through an extension on how to use get time. So, note on due dates. Pupil Path and Google Classroom should all list the correct due dates, because that's the only real way I have to keep in touch with everyone. So trust those dates, whereas in the past, you would trust what I said in class. This is now what you have to trust. All Google questions must be answered the day they are posted. If you were confused on Monday, based on Mondays, I'm willing to give that 1 day extension on that because it's new, but not for long. I think it's very straightforward. I will post another question later in this video for you to answer. If you are ever unsure about anything, you no longer have the luxury of just sitting in class knowing that I will check in on you. That doesn't work. Attend office hours and email me or post in chat. I'm monitoring all of these things. How to test your game. So here is a script that I just wrote up. If you can go through each of these steps one at a time, and they get progressively more complex, then you will know that it works perfectly. So let me run through this as an example. For the first, it says click run, get to the game screen, click on an apple, and see that the score went up. Okay, let's try that out. So here's my example. I click run, I get to the game screen, I click on the apple, and I see that the score went up in the top left. I don't think you can see my cursor. Well, that's why I have a pen. That's the whole point. I see here, the score went up to 1 in this little spot here. I'm going to click that apple. So that tells me that the first one is successful because it starts at 0 and then it goes up from there. The other checklists: run, get to the game screen, click on the background image, and check that lives go down by 1. So I'm going to go here, run, get to the game screen, click on the background image, lives went down by 1. You can't see that. Lives went down by 1. It was higher, and then it was 2, and then I clicked on the back, and it went down by 1. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but this is, you may just want to pause the video or know where this is so you can run through these yourself. Run, get to the game screen, lose the game, reset. In a future slide, I'm going to show you an example of code because this can be tricky. Run, get to game screen, get to the win screen, and reset. Make sure you can lose, make sure you can win. Run, do one of those 2 things, get back to the start screen, and reset by clicking buttons. And then run, this is the hardest one, run, get to say the lose screen, go back to the game, and then make sure that lives and score correctly show 3 and 0. I'm going to show you, I'm going to actually demonstrate this last one because it's the one that I think most people will mess up. So I'm going to play the game. I'm going to get a few points. 1, 2, 3. So I have a score of 3. Lives 2, 1, 0. Notice I haven't actually quit this yet. I have not clicked reset. So I've gone back here, click start, and now score and lives have gone back to 0 without me. I never actually clicked that. I never actually reset, but my score and my lives go back to 0. That's a little tricky, but it's going to be the same kind of thing. Somewhere in your code, you'll have a place to reset lives to 3. You'll have to figure out where, but you have to think to yourself, when do I want these things to reset? And you'll put them inside of some kind of a button. That's the trickiest, but I need something that, I can't tell the whole thing. Here's an example code. If you're totally struggling, or if you just want a refresher, you may want to pause here and have this open in a new tab. This is from lesson 5, number 16, which is not the clicker game, it's a practice version of it. However, the model of this code works very similarly. The way this works, we have a global variable, and it uses the var keyword. It's at the top of our code. We have this whole thing for when the up button is clicked, it's going to do this. We have the value of count. It starts at 0. If I click this, then count goes up to 1. This updates the display. So that's where you'd have like count 1. It would update that value. I shouldn't say this because you can't always see what I'm pointing at. And finally, the if statement here. This stuff. Whoa, look at that color theory. Whoa. This stuff in here, that's a pretty color. The way this works, this is your meat and potatoes on how to win, your rice and beans. If count ever reaches 5, it reads like English. If count equals 5, then you do whatever's in here. Set the screen to game over screen, or set screen to win screen, or set screen to lose screen, whatever. This code, I'll give you a fresh take again. This code has the meat and potatoes of the clicker game. So if you need that, it's available to you here. Whoa, what's going on? Not yet. We're not on that piece yet. Extension using get time. So in office hours, people had questions about how get time works because it's weird. The way this works and I encourage you to try this on your own. I'm not going to do the same demonstration I did in office hours because I would like people to attend office hours. But get time. It's going to give you a long string of numbers. So it'll be something really super long, something like that. And every time, whenever you run it, it's unique. It's the number of milliseconds past January 1st, 1979, I think. But the point is, you can compare it and you can assign it into a variable. So if you want to take the time at certain places, you can make a time variable. You would have had to declare it with var at the top of your code to use it. And you can say, oh, get time, use whatever this number is, and store it inside of time. And then later, you can think about, if I do a similar thing, maybe like a second variable called time2 if you wanted. There are cleverer ways, but this is one way. You could do get time again later in your code, and maybe this is a different number. This is a farther along number. Then you'd be able to compare these two values to get the total time it took to beat the game. This is extension. If this screen scared the crap out of you, don't worry. If you have other things to do, don't worry. But if you're bored, maybe you want to mess around with this. Today's Google question, because we are wrapping up, I want to keep these as precise as I possibly can. Assuming my computer doesn't freeze. Okay, this is today's Google question. Again, before, only about, as of now, on Monday, only about half of you have actually done this. So when you see this and Google question on the classroom page, answer it. Test your game. So rewind the video. Oops, I can't when I'm writing on this. To get back to those steps. If your game completely works, your answer for the question is, my game completely works, ready to grade, done. If it does not work, write a question to me. For example, I can't lose the game. Or when I reset the game, it still says lives equals 0. Try to write that out to me, or say I am going to office hours to get help. That way I know that it's not done yet, but I know what I need to ask and focus. This is the only way that you're going to be able to get help because, well, I'm not there to kind of, ask guiding questions and that kind of thing. Okay. So that's all for today. You can stop now. I'm going to go back here. The due dates again, Google question, due every day. The clicker game is due Wednesday at the start of the day. I will start grading them at 9 a.m. I'll grade period 1s first, but period 8, don't sleep on it. Cool, that's all. Let me do my end card because I'm a real Twitch streamer now. I miss you all. Office hours. It was fun today. That's all. I'm experimenting with making one of these mandatory. But I'll formalize that. Probably send out a poll to see which day works best for people. Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye.